The Ogun State Governor, Bikunle Amosun, has been talking about his reason for supporting the re-election bid of President Muhammadu Buhari. The governor says he's supporting him because of his commitment to developing the country and to making it a pride among the Committee of Nations. The governor explains that he will give everything within his reach to ensure the president is returned to power in next month's election. He was speaking while giving out vehicles to party leaders in all the local government areas of the state.
What Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari has done and what he's still doing and what he's still going to do for us. You will know that even on his performance alone, it's only, yes, we must not take our people for granted, we must still run around and campaign. If not for that, I don't even think President Muhammadu Buhari ordinarily need to be going around again because his works are speaking for him. Just let's take Ogun State, for instance, now. Look at where we are in Ogun State. Look at our Lagos-Abeokuta, Lagos-Ibadan Express Road. I can use that any day as an example. Look at what he's doing. Look at our railway. He's not the first president. Since that railway has been abandoned since, just look at what he's done now. By end of probably January, of course, we can ride that train from Lagos to, I can speak to Abeokuta here, even to Omeadio, our border with Oyo State. So clearly, look at our even water. Now, look at what President Ambode is doing in Ota. Look at what they are doing in Abeokuta. Look at what they're doing in Ijebode.
Staying with politics, leaders of the All Progressive Grand Alliance in Abia State have been strategizing on how to ensure victory for the candidates of the party in the general elections. The party leaders came together at a meeting hosted by the governorship candidate of the party in the state, Dr. Alex Oti, at his country home in Umuru Umwehim in Isialangwa South local government area of the state.
Members of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, from the 17 local government areas of Abia State, southeast Nigeria, gather in this hall. They're here to iron out their differences and also to strategize on how to take over the seat of power in the state. The arrival of the party's governorship candidate, Dr. Alex Oti, kickstarts the event of the day. After 5 hours of deliberations, Dr. Oti restates his plan to turn around the state for the good of the people.
All the people working in the campaign. We have the party, we have different structures that are supporting us, and of course the campaign council. So this meeting was to put everybody together to work towards the same goal, and I'm very happy that it was such a successful meeting. We have agreed on a process, we've agreed on the structure, we've also agreed on the timelines for deliverables.
The party's chieftains also speak on the party's preparedness for the election.
People have talked so much about his experience in the banks and all that, Now, that is an accumulation of experience that is lacking in the governance of Abia State. And if you read his weekly write-ups, in the newspapers, you will see that the man has, a kind of general knowledge of things, irrespective of his own particular departments of knowledge.
By his grace, we are unstoppable. Alex Oti will be the governor of Abia come 2019.
As the governorship election draws nearer, the candidate and indeed the party would be counting on their members to translate their support into action on election day.
The immediate past governor of Cross River State, Senator Lee Elimoke, says he's confident of the fact that Cross River State will remain in the hands of the People's Democratic Party even after next month's election. According to Senator Imoke, from inception, Cross River State has been a PDP state, and the party's focus is to ensure things do not change. He was speaking while playing host to his successor, Governor Ben Ayade, at his country home in Abi local government area of the state. In a brief remark, Governor Ayade assured youth of the state that he's working hard to get them a bright and secured future. Meanwhile, more tributes continue to pour in on the late former President Shehu Shagari as some prominent Nigerians, including the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Muhammadu Sanusi II, and the national leader of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, pay condolence visit to the family in Sokoto State. Others include the Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, the former secretaries of the government of the Federation, Yale Ahmed, and former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Nuhu Ribadu. After praying with the family, the APC national leader and the Kano State Governor described the late former president as a true Democrat who was committed to true democracy with his firm belief in the concept of one man, one vote.
We thank God that He has built institutions for this country. He believed in democratic governance, and he nurtured it. One of the most exceptional people that encouraged one man, one vote in their political life. And he has always promoting the interests of all.
This brought great loss. Is not only for his family, but for the people of Sokoto State. So we thank you for receiving us. And we urge all politicians to emulate our late president in the conduct of our political affairs and in the conduct of governance. That is the only way that we can move this country forward.
Time now for business news. Here's Anne Mahmoudou.
Thank you, Amarachi. We begin business news tonight with a directive. Nigeria's Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, has directed the China Civil Construction Corporation to speed up completion of the Lagos-Ibadan Standard Gauge Rail project. The minister made this known today during a monthly routing inspection tour of the rail line. He identified the delay in the arrival of some offshore equipment as some constraints to the project. He explains that the federal government remains committed towards the completion and delivery of the rail line before the rains and the general elections in February. Just last week, the federal government approved 42 billion naira for the Chinese construction company to ensure a timely delivery of the rail project. A latest survey coming from Reuters shows that oil supply from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries fell by the largest amount in almost 2 years last month. The biggest drop in OPEC supply last month came from Saudi Arabia and mounted to 400,000 barrels following the United Arab Emirates, which voluntarily reduced its supply, and Libya, due to the shutdown of the country's biggest oil field. However, crude output from Nigeria, Kuwait and Iraq increased within the period under review. OPEC and its allies, including Russia, agreed last month to cut crude production beginning this month by 1.2 million barrels following a strategy to support prices. And ahead of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele expects this tight stance to continue in the near term. Mr. Emefiele says policy rates will remain supportive of the economy, depending on some underlying fundamentals.
We expect that in monetary policy stance will remain judicious, research-driven, adequate and supportive of the real economy, subject to underlying fundamentals. You can draw your conclusions from there. The current tight stance is expected to continue in the near term, especially in view of rising inflation expectations and exchange market pressures. Though we would act as appropriately adjust the policy rate in line with unfolding conditions and outlooks, the CBN will continue to ensure that the policy interest rate is delicately set to balance the objectives of price and monetary stability with output stabilization.
The Governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Ambode, has forwarded the 2019 budget proposal of 852.317 billion naira to the State House of Assembly. The State Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Mr. Olusegun Banjo, reveals that the official presentation of the budget to the Assembly, which had earlier been scheduled for December the 24th last year, had been postponed due to the end-of-year recess. He further explains that in order to meet the tradition in the presentation, a formal letter had been transmitted to the House on Friday, December the 28th last year, forwarding the content of the budget. It is expected that when the House reconvenes, the Speaker will inform members of the content of the budget proposal sent by the Governor for necessary action. Bearish sentiment has continued for a second day at the domestic stock market as more profit-taking hit the share prices of high-valued stocks across major counters of the NSE. Tosin Adeshina has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Investors' apathy for stocks enters a second day in the new year at the NSE as another round of profit-taking hit key components across all key sectors except the oil and gas. Compared to Wednesday's session, today's trading recorded a lower volume of 169.19 million shares in over 3,600 transactions, largely driven by the shares of Diamond, Access Bank and Transcorp. The market's total value dropped further by 112 billion naira, while the all-share index fell by nearly 1% below the 31,000 level. Meanwhile, the share price of GlaxoSmithKline, University Press and FCMB topped the losers list in percentage value, while Forte Oil, Union Bank and Transnationwide Express are lead gainers for the day. That's the Stock Market Report. I'm Tosin Adeshina.
Thank you, Tosin. Major global markets have also ended Thursday's trading session in the red amid rising concerns over economic slowdown, weaker than expected U.S. manufacturing data, and a negative outlook from Apple. Let's see the figures for today. And with those numbers, we end business news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I am Anne Nwawadu.